Hello YouTube, my name is B and this is the introductory video for B's bot Bonanza, as you can see up on the whiteboard there. This isn't a review, so to speak, so ignore everybody here. This is just a little bit of fun, a little bit of background, a little bit of showing off maybe perhaps, but anyway. This is just my sort of video zero, so to speak. I'm introducing my ideas and format and stuff, you know. So I've been watching Transformers YouTube reviews for a long time, and I appreciate everybody's different styles and different methods of reviewing, and their different like everybody brings something different to the table, you know. But one thing I haven't really seen is like people doing like quantified comparisons, if that's a word. I have no idea. If it isn't, then I just made it, I don't know. But this idea sort of actually comes more from a reviewer called Sam Strains on YouTube, who does like model railway videos and stuff, and he has like a list every year of the best releases from that year that he is able to compare and contrast with actual scores, and that's something that I don't really see too often with Transformers reviewers. So I thought, you know, that could be my thing, my shtick, my whatever gimmick, whatever you call it. So, and just first off the bat, as a little disclaimer, this isn't going to be like, you know, like, oh, this is my objective, or this is objective fact, or this is the best thing or the worst thing or whatever. This is still above and beyond a bit of fun. So I don't want anybody to be getting like upset or offended about like my scores or something. Like I said, it's just a little bit of fun, because like I know people do comparisons, you know, like you do like size comparisons and things like that in both modes, but not so much of a scored comparison. This chap does not want to stand up. You just lie down. Okay. So, pardon my horrendous handwriting, but this is my idea page. So, this is what I'll be reading off, because I don't want you to see my horrendous handwriting. But, so, my idea is based sort of on 10 concepts, or like 10 categories, so to speak. So for example, who can we pick for an example? Let's pick well, none of them are really in their alt mode. Hang on, let's bring in Outback, because he's in his alt mode, and the first two categories out of 10 are about the alt mode. So the first category is the presence / aesthetic of the alt mode, and that will be scored out of 10. These are all scored out of 10, unless otherwise stated, but we'll get to that. And that's very simple, you know, just like, oh, does it look cool, does it look stupid, does it look daft, whatever, you know, aesthetics basically. And then the second factor will be playability, and that's just, you know, again, like, oh, it rolls, because, well, you can't see, but like, he has rules, he has wheels, he can fit Titan Masters in him, you know, stuff like that. Playability, interplayability slightly. Then we'll put him away, because the next factor is the same two categories again, but for robot mode. So we'll just pick up this chap who I can't remember his name, because he's just, you know, like whoever. But so again, like presence / aesthetic. So you're like, oh, this is like a small little chap, but he's quite cute. And then playability, you know, like so that would be like articulation, you know, things like that, like how well he can stand up. Not very, because his arse is massive. Things like that. Again, scored out of 10, those two. Number 5 on the list will be transformation, and this is broken into two categories, the first one being ease and the second one being fun. And this is because I don't want it to become, you know, like, oh, like one step change or repugnance, you know, like clues in the name, one step change, you know, you're like, oh, that's easy, 10 out of 10. But is it fun? Yes, it's also fun, but it's not like the be all and end all, you know. So like, yes, he would score very highly, but that's just because I'm biased, because Repugnus is my favourite character. But anyway, so this is a way for me to sort of like equalize the playing field a little bit, because you have ones like G1 stuff, or like the little ones that are very easy to transform, and whether they're fun or not. And then the same thing for like third-party stuff, masterpiece stuff that's like really complicated or convoluted and not as fun or whatever. But again, it's just completely subjective opinion. So this isn't me saying that ease or complexity is better or worse. I'm just going to score it on, like, so for ease, for example, like 0 will be like, oh, you can't do it without the instructions because it's just really complicated. And then 5 out of 5 would be like one step repugnant, like you just whip him around and he's done. And then fun is sort of even more objective, because that's like, or subjective, sorry, because it's like what I find fun, not everybody might find fun, but I don't know. I'm just going to throw it out there anyway. So like I said, those are both scored out of 5 to make the whole thing out of 10. And then number 6 on the list is fiddleability, which I have no idea again if it's a word or not, but anyway. So that sort of encompasses things like the size, again, kind of complexity, fun, because it's like, like, I'm trying to think, for example, like Hunger, he's really chunky, he's fun, but he's not that fiddleable because like he's quite clicky, which is like, like a lot of people like ratchets, obviously, and I understand they're great, but like if you're just watching TV or something, you don't necessarily just want to be click-clacking all the time, but like these little Micromasters, these pocket-sized desk bots, they're just perfect. And these little Prime Master ones, like, I just absolutely adore these get high marks for fiddleability, stuff like that. Oops, bumped the camera. Number 7 out of 10 will be interplayability, and this is sort of another one that sort of separates, like Generations toys from like third-party stuff, because it'll obviously be weighted more in favour of them, because, so for example, again, like this little chap, you have like the Prime Armor mode, and then the Prime Master mode, and then his like weapon mode, whatever that's supposed to be, crossbow tentacles, I don't know. I've seen far too much anime to put any sort of, let's just not even go there. But anyway, so that will be, so he would score very highly on interplayability, things like that. And then ones maybe like this chap, this like third-party little Legends class hardhead, like he's great, he's fantastic, but he doesn't really, he's not in scale with anybody else, and his weapons are like a different peg size, things like that, so it's like he's not very interplayable, so to speak, with anybody else. And the same goes for like these little doodads that are like, they're fun, but they don't really, like they can't interact, And then Repugnance is no longer, where it's just like, yes, technically he's like a different scale and everything, but he has the 5mm ports, so if you want to, you can, just like, for whatever. So like, even though that's stupid, it still counts on the score. So that was number 7, interplayability. Then moving on to number 8, we have, oops, camera's shifting again. We have accessories. So this will quantify things like, again, like fun, usefulness, how well they store, things like that. So I'm gonna wreck the display here, but for example, sorry, root rage. Well, that's not his actual guns, so that's cheating. But anyway, these, like the gun things, buckler, shields, whatever the hell that Hunger comes with, as an accessory for him just on his own, you're like, it's a bit random, because it's just like a thing that's just stuck on, whatever. But like for the combined mode for Abominus, obviously it's important, so it sort of factors like that. So like accessories, And then other ones, like for example, like Ultra Magnus, you're like the white prime mode is like his main mode, and then does the armor count as accessory? Does it not? You know, that's something that we can discuss in that individual review. And then number 9 will be value for money, which I am looking forward to getting horrendous comments about, because it will be, again, everybody's different opinion, but it will account for things like size, build quality, and like comparisons within different size classes, things like that. So, you know, for example, like these little, oops, I forgot he was holding that. Where's the other landmine? I'm just wrecking this display, but anyway, landmine here, you're like, oh, this is a $5, this is fantastic value, because he's got, you know, like, oh, he transforms into like a billion different things, and he can be useful for a billion different things, you know. Or else like one's like my knockoff 6-shot that's just like, he doesn't really do that much for the price, but you know. So that will be especially one for, I just realised that like none of the ones I have out are sort of relevant to this. Well, actually no, like Misfire maybe. Well, actually no, because I paid like aftermarket prices for him, not retail. But let me think. We'll bring Road Rage over. So, sorry again, Hunger, you just have to lie down. Road Rage, for example, you know, like, I know, oops, focus. A lot of people were having trouble getting their hands on her, so her prices sort of went up and down a bit, but I got her for pretty reasonable deluxe price. And you know, if I was doing a review on her, I would compare her price with other Kingdom Deluxes and things like that, and just be like, oh, what does she come with, what does she do that's sort of different than other ones in the line, you know, things like that. So that's that value for money. Again, will probably be quite a controversial one to talk about. And then number 10, which is my favourite category, is representation. And that is sort of accuracy to the vibe of a character, because a lot of people get very up in arms about like, oh, they really like, you know, like G1 toy accuracy, or they really like cartoon accuracy, stuff like that. But for me, it's more like the character has a vibe, you know. So like this Repugnus, again, perfect example. Sorry, Octopunch, you just need to go away a minute. This Repugnus, perfect example. Obviously, it's accurate to the source material because it's from Cyberverse. But even G1 Repugnus, you know, like it's not the most G1 toy accurate. It's not the most G1 cartoon accurate, but it fits the vibe of Repugnus as creepy, crawly bug boy with little, oh, he's so cute. I just love Repugnus so much. And then when you transform him in Robo mode, whoops, the focused, I can tell. You know, he's like beefy chap, quite heroic, even though he's sort of anti-hero character. You know, he fits the vibe of Repugnus, even though he's not accurate, because, you know, obviously on a G1 Repugnus, like these parts become his boobs, but his boobs are just molded in. That's a sentence that I didn't think I would say today, but anyway, his boobs are molded in, which isn't G1 toy accurate or whatever, but it fits the vibe of the character, because you just look at it and you're like, oh, that's Repugnus. Personally, I would prefer to have, I prefer like the goggle eyes rather than the pupils, but that's just my preference. So that's an example of that. Another one, maybe let's just bring, I don't know, like Cyclonus, although he's kind of cheating because like he is the only Armada Cyclonus there is, so of course he's going to be the most accurate to the vibe of him, so maybe that's a bad idea. 6-shot is funny because like, yes, this is a knockoff G1, but it's hilarious to me, mostly just for the head, because it reminds me of that, the Headmaster's dub, you know, where Galvatron's like, oh, this is unicorn, I'm going to make my body into unicorn, and then 6-shot comes over and it's like, oh, like that's why I love this so much. So like it fits the vibe of 6-shot being an Egypt in the Headmaster's cartoon, but maybe not the most cartoon accurate shape or description or whatever. So that's kind of like another example of that. Whoa, he went flying there. Whoops. So that's the 10 categories. I'll just bring this in again. Apologies for my horrendous handwriting. I did a nice little pen. So that's that, you know. And this is my workbook that I got this year, just specifically for this channel, just for starting with. Jam-packed full of love of Transformers, because this was one of my 2022 goals, was to make a start on this YouTube journey. I have no necessarily specific aims or goals. I just wanted to do something, share my passion with people, and was inspired by a lot of other people on YouTube to give it a try, give it a start, see what happens. Another thing that I actually should bring up, which is more not necessarily for individual reviews, but I want to have reviews come out in like seasons, and they will all sort of follow like a format. So for example, like season 1 will have 10 reviews, and only one review of each season will be about one line. So for example, like only one Kingdom toy, only one Select toy, only one Unicron Trilogy toy. You know, it's just to help like spread them out a bit, because if I just did them in order that I got them or something, you know, then it would be like very like samey. But then I also want to have like good links between the two characters. So like for example, well actually I'm not going to spoil the links, because that'll be half the fun, but I will at least be able to say that the first review will be one that will probably surprise absolutely nobody. Will be Earthrise Optimus Prime, just because I think he's a good baseline. You know, like everybody knows who Optimus Prime is. If you're watching Transformers reviews, you know who this is. Most people probably have one or a version of Optimus Prime, you know, so like it's a good background focus, sorry. It's a good baseline, and it's a good way to test out my score system. So for example, like, well, I haven't really done it yet, but it's a good one to start with, because then everybody else that comes after will be able to compare, you know, the scores and stuff, and be like, oh, this one's more, you know, because like I said, a lot of other YouTubers, they'll be like, oh, here's Voyager class Optimus Prime, and here's Voyager class Hunger, and here's Micromaster class whatever his face is, here's Deluxe, you know, doing like size comparisons, and that's great because people care about scale, obviously. But I want to do like a more in-depth comparison. So like I said, like having a way to score them is going to be, this is, I don't know where the focus, I think the focus is trying to go on the background, but like it'll be a good baseline. You know what I mean? Like, it's Optimus Prime. Everybody knows what Optimus Prime is, the same way everybody knows Megatron, Starscream, Bumblebee, Grimlock, you know, all the evergreen characters. So it'll be a good one to start with, you know, because if I start the channel with like reviewing bloody alt modes Acid Storm, you know, like how is he going to compare to like Masterpiece Sideswipe or something? Like, you can't. So like starting off with somebody that everybody knows anyway makes sense. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that makes some kind of whatever, you know. I didn't really plan this far ahead in the videos, so I'm just going to say bye and see you in episode 1, I guess, whenever I do that. Earthrise Optimus Prime, and I'll maybe post links to Twitter and stuff that I'm on down below. Maybe not, I don't know. You'll see it anyway. Just like, you know how YouTube works, you don't need to tell me. But anyway, if you're interested in seeing more, let me know, leave a comment. If you have any suggestions for like my setup and stuff. Oh, by the way, for reviews, like, these guys won't all be here, but it'll be like Ashen's format of like holding them in front of the background like this, you know. So that's the format I'm going for. If you have any suggestions or ideas, let me know in the comments. And yeah, if you want to catch more reviews, then subscribe, like, do all that stuff that everybody does on YouTube. Again, I don't need to tell you how YouTube works, y'all already know. If you find this video, you already know. But anyway, yeah, bye, whatever, peace out. I don't know how to end this. It'll just be like, phew. That's the ending. I don't know.